closed the door, and we're hoping for the best.
Yeah, it was very strange, but...
Yes, tell us more about this pie party. That sounds fun.
Back up! Back up!
Hi, we're the Reading Queens, and we're here to blab about our favorite books, why we love them, and the book boyfriends we wish were real. And we're back for another episode. I'm Valia. Hi.
I'm Kay.
I'm Hanna.
I'm Joanna.
Yeah, and we're here to talk trope, because this is our
Yay!
trope episode. Yay! I'm very excited, but first let's just do our little catch up like we do. So yeah, tell me about your life. That's all I want to know.
I had kind of a rough week, but I did have two wonderful things happen this week.
Okay.
One is that I got to go to a pie party, which is as good as it sounds. So my yes. So my sister-in-law's sister-in-law is starting a business where she's going to make pies, and she's gone to culinary school, and she's amazing. And her name is Maggie, and they're calling it Meg Pie, which I think is the cutest thing ever.
Oh, cute.
So they wanted to have kind of a kickoff and also like a testing to like trial out pies. And I was like, well, I'm happy to volunteer to help with market research, obviously.
You need to know how they taste. I suppose I could fit that into my schedule.
Exactly. I like half invited myself along because it's actually more my brother and his wife and their friends. And I was like, I've met some of them. This seems fine. I'm not like generally an extrovert, but there was pie. And you know, like COVID, I haven't been to a party in a while. I was like, this could be nice. And it was lovely. They had like tables all set up outside with flowers on them, and it's like kind of out in the country. And there was like savory pies for supper, and then sweet pies for dessert.
Yum.
And I don't usually like cherry pie. Like I don't mind it, but like cherry pie, like whatever. And they made a cherry pie that's an old-fashioned cherry pie, so it's like the whiskey drink in old-fashioned. I might be the only one who drinks of us in this group. But it's like delicious. It's like whiskey and orange, a little bit of orange, and has bitters, which aren't bitter, but it's like a flavor. And this actually tasted like it in cherry pie form, which was, I think, some sort of magic. I'm not sure. And just like, they were all delicious. Just delicious pies. She's very talented.
So which one was your favorite?
She has a great pie business. The cherry old-fashioned one. Yeah. I was there.
What about the savory? I want to know more about the savory
So there
pies.
was a chicken pot pie and like a shepherd's pie. But you know shepherd's pie usually has mashed potatoes? This one was like actually pie crust, which I have to say I like pie crust a lot more than mashed potatoes.
I do not.
So you would have been like, who rented this shepherd's pie? And I was like, someone finally made a good shepherd's pie.
I don't know, though. Based on your review of the cherry pie, I feel like I probably still would have liked it. So
yeah, I mean, I think and it still had cheese on top. I didn't actually eat that one, though. I just went for the chicken pot pie. I had already had supper at my mother's. But my mother, who I love, is on a diet, and there wasn't quite enough supper. So I was like, I'm going to go eat a lot of pie. It's fine. So yeah, it was very fun. It was fun. And then we all like had to fill out feedback forms. So like that was like the cost of coming to the pie party. There was like a big old form of like what you liked and what you didn't like, and like market research on pricing and things like that. So it was pretty fun. I had a lot of pie. I had like, I don't know, 4 pieces. Not like big pieces, but like lots of little pieces. And I
feel like I need to make friends with somebody.
Right. See, like I said, I don't even really know her, and yet I was still like, I could come along. My sister-in-law was like, have you guys met? And she was like, yeah, we chatted one time about your fantasy books and underwear and Instagram, and now I follow you on Instagram. And I was like, that sounds like a reasonable conversation I'd have. I don't remember
that's what I'm all about.
Talking about underwear, but I could see
Instagram.
It could happen. I don't know.
I love pie. For my birthday every year, I always request an apple pie because it's my favorite.
What are all your
I like cake, but I love apple pie.
I feel like I knew that at one point.
I love pumpkin pie.
I don't like pie.
No pies?
I don't like pie either.
Not even like chocolate pie or
coconut cream.
Yeah, I like chocolate pie.
I think the
like
only
pie.
pie that I really like is, I mean, doesn't even consider it a pie, but Village Inn has this chocolate silk or something like that.
It's like a chocolate pie.
Okay.
If it's in a pie
Does it have an
crust,
Oreo
it's a pie.
crust? Because that's what I
No.
like, is when it has an Oreo
Oh, well, then
crust.
I don't know if it's pie.
No, it's like regular crust, but it's like less sweet, and then the inside is like a chocolate mousse, and then it's like just a lot of what's it called? Whipped cream and like chocolate flakes. Like I don't think of that as pie, but apparently it
It's
is.
a
So
pie.
maybe
It's
that
in a
is
pie
the only
crust.
pie I like.
I mean, if you can put chicken stew in a crust and call it chicken pot pie, then I'm
I
pretty sure
guess.
you do anything in a crust and it is pie.
Okay.
yeah, I don't
I
know.
like cheesecake, but that's not a pie, and I put that in a crust.
It doesn't have the same crust though.
That's
it's a pastry
different
crust.
kind of
Pastry
crust,
crust.
yeah.
I see.
Cheesecake is also
Sorry,
obviously
guys.
amazing, possibly better than pie, but pie is awesome.
I clearly do not bake a lot, so
It's okay.
I know nothing.
You know what you like. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna like continue to hog the microphone because the other thing is that we hatched baby chicks this week. So we I think I mentioned before we were incubating eggs, and then they hatched, and there are 9 little fluff balls, and they are 5 days old, and my kids call it the pom-pom stage.
Yeah.
And my middle kid was holding one just against her cheek, and she's like, I can't believe this isn't a dream.
Oh, that's
And I was
so
like,
cute.
I know, I feel the same way.
That's adorable.
So now they're out with the mother hen, because we had a broody hen, and hatched some of them under her and half of them in our incubator. So they're all out there, and they're all cute with their mama, and we go and check on them multiple times a day. And I took Instagram pictures with them because you have to.
Well, duh. Yes. It's funny though because I have this picture of me when I was I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe. I actually can't remember. Maybe I was 7. But anyway, we were at my aunt's in Ukraine, and it's a picture of me and 4 of my cousins, and we're just standing all in a row in front of a house, and we each have just a little chick in our hands. And it's just it's a random picture that is probably the only picture from that time frame that I have now, since we've moved continents. But yeah, it always I always think of that anytime somebody mentions chicks. I was like, I remember that one time. I have this one picture.
That's adorable.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, when I was little, I used to pretend that I lived on a farm, and I would have to go and feed the chickens every morning. And it was these bushes that we have in my in my house.
Did you throw food into the bushes?
Yeah, well, I mean, rocks or something.
Okay.
I don't remember. I think I just took the bark or whatever was there and was like, all right, eat chickens. You know, in Beauty and the Beast where she throws the animal food. I was just very picturesque in my mind. I'm like, I need this in my life.
At Beauty and the Beast, at the
That's
beginning when she
cute.
was whining about her life. And
Yes.
your life is perfect, Belle. Stop complaining. Every time I watch that, I'm complaining. But I think I've seen some memes about it, the baker with his bread, always. He's like, I've been up since 5 in the morning baking this bread. I'm like,
Yes,
oh, you
I've
get
seen
fresh
those.
baguettes every day, you poor soul.
Okay, but to be fair, I do feel like her life was better by the end of the movie.
Well,
Yes.
yes.
Living in a town to living in a castle with someone you love. Come on.
Yeah.
It's better. It's better. But I felt it was very this poor provincial life, and I'm like, you're not poor. And you live in the rolling hills. She's lying in a meadow of flowers. Oh, my life. So terrible.
Oh, that's
I'm
so
clearly a
funny.
country girl. I was like, what are you whining about?
Yeah, clearly. I'm like, oh, girl, you need some big city living
Little culture,
to make
little
you feel
excitement.
better. I understand.
Well, I'm clearly a big city girl since I had to pretend that the bushes in my yard were chickens and feed them.
That's
Would you ever
funny.
get real chickens? Now that you're an adult?
No, because I am allergic to eggs, I think.
Oh.
I don't know. They make me throw up, so
Right,
I don't
so
know.
yeah, your backyard
let's not.
chickens
If
don't have
it's-
much appeal.
Yeah, if it's baked into a cake or something, I haven't noticed anything bad with that, but just
Surely cake couldn't hurt you.
I'm just not an egg person, we'll put it that way.
Makes
That's
sense.
fair.
Makes sense. I think it did help that I grew up in a big city. St. Petersburg is as major city as you can get, but
Mhm.
my family, my mom's side of the family, all are from Ukraine in a village. So it's that's where I would spend my summers. So it's I had both
Get
Oh,
that.
sides.
best of both
Yeah.
worlds, yeah.
And also I know that I would not want to live there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
I'm
don't want to
good
be
where
a
I'm at.
farmer.
Yeah, exactly.
Being a farmer is a lot of work. I want to draw pictures and write stories and do that. But I'm
Yeah.
happy to have my little chickens and my little garden, and that's about as farmy as I get.
Makes sense.
Does anyone else have excitement, or is it just me?
Joanna, what thoughts do you have on small towns?
None.
Like, that's it. That was the conversation.
Yeah, we're good. Okay.
I'm a city girl.
Yeah.
I love it up in the mountains in Huntsville, Utah. Like my husband and I have talked about maybe living up there, but I have to be close to a good grocery store.
City.
Oh, but we went to Bear Lake.
I mean, we have grocery stores in the
I
country.
I know. Okay.
I don't actually raise all my own food.
So we went up to Bear Lake for a family vacation, and I've always said I wouldn't want to live up there because their grocery store was just this like tiny thing that was like super overpriced, but they built one and it's like brand new and it's big, and I'm like, okay, I'm there. I'm gonna
I'm thinking this.
That's so funny. Okay, so my husband grew up in a very, very small town. And it's so funny. This one time we were traveling somewhere, I don't remember where, and we were going through all these small towns. And we passed this store that was called the General Store. And my husband was like, making fun of it, kind of, oh, the General Store. And I'm like, that is bigger than Food Town, which is the name of the little store in his small town, you know? I'm like, that Food Town is smaller than that. You cannot make fun of that. He's like, okay, good point. It was funny. It's cool, though. I feel like I'm sort of a small town person because of my husband. I sort of understand it a little bit because of him. And I have to say there are definitely like some nice things about the small town thing, you know?
It's a trade-off. I would say like it's kind of like I've never been to a convention. We don't have museums. We don't have like culture in general. Limited restaurants.
Uncultured.
As uncultured Hicks. No, it's not that bad. But you know, like when I lived in the city when I was younger, like you could go to the opera and you could go, you know, like stuff like that. We don't have that stuff. I mean, they try sometimes, but the pool of resources is smaller. But you just like, do you care more about that, or do you care more about having space and being able to hike in the mountains every day? And so I'm happy where I am. I see the appeal, but I've tried it. And I am not. You'd have to take me kicking and screaming to make me move into a city.
See, I think as long as you've tried it, like people who have a very harsh opinion about like one or the other, and they like look down on people who choose a small time living or a small town or a big city living, but they like never tried it. Like I'm like, you can't. You don't.
Like I watched a couple movies, and
it's
terrible.
Not the same. Like because I think even as I get older, I definitely get the appeal of a small town a little bit more, especially if you have like a family and you're like really settled in life, but also like I'm still at that stage where I'm like, I just want to travel like all over the place. So I don't think I could live in a small town because I would just feel like claustrophobic.
So you can also travel from a small town.
I know, but I mean,
we even travel.
You're not in the place that you live in.
No, I know. But I'm saying the setting of it would be more claustrophobic than not. Okay, and this is coming. I know this is coming from somebody who lives in Phoenix and thinks it's too small. So you know what? Yeah, I have opinions.
My town has 3,000 people, and we call it a city. And I'm like, I think it's just like a random designation. Like you can call anything a city if you decide you want to. Like this is not a city.
Oh, that's
good effort, guys.
I would like to go travel and visit a bunch of small towns because I think like I love going on like a retreat. Yes, I will.
Yes.
I want to hike in your woods because you know
they are lovely.
They're beautiful. I love them. No, I always like the picturesque cabin by the lake retreat or whatever, you know, whatever where you can like really spend time, and I really want to do that for like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like a prolonged period of time, so you don't feel like you're like rushing and really get like the feel of like living in solitude. Because you got to
have a little foresty writing retreat last week, right?
I did.
Your photos looked lovely.
Yeah, it was back in July that I went.
So a bit ago.
And I've been posting pictures of it since then because
you hoarded a bunch of pictures up. I messaged her while she was on the trip, and I was like, you better be taking lots of pictures.
Yeah.
It looks pretty.
And I was like, yeah. And now that I'm in the midst of the Beauty and the Beast, foresty, magical world, I was like, this is perfect time to just make my Instagram as moody and like fantasy-esque as possible. So this is what's been happening. But yeah, I just like being away from my life, obviously, to write, because then you don't think about all the other things that you're like doing, you can just really focus and create. But also, like, I am not a morning person at all. You guys know this. I just don't do mornings. But on the retreat, like, I woke up at like 6:30 or 7 on my own without an alarm every morning, and I just like went outside and just sat out there and like just spent some alone time, there's some devotions and just some like creative writing outside of just writing, and like it just really refilled like that well. But also, like, I know I wouldn't be able to do that every single day, not where I am right now in my life, where I would just be like, I need a museum and I need a Broadway musical and I need a movie, so it's just, I think like I'm at a point where I'm like, I just want to go visit, which is why I like love going to visit my friends.
That's why it's called the retreat, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
You just need regular ones, I think.
Yes, I need multiple once a year instead of one every like 2 years. But anyway, enough about me.
We just need to have a Queen's retreat sometime. When I'm allowed to visit the United States again.
Nobody's writing during that retreat. We all know
that. But that's true. Who are we kidding, right?
We're just going to wear pretty dresses and crowns and walk around like princesses. Just kidding.
Yep.
And Hannah's going to bake for all of us.
Yeah, there you go.
And we won't sleep because we'll be talking all night.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait.
I'm always like, we should rent a castle. There's some castles in the U.S., isn't there?
Oh my gosh. No, we should rent a castle in like Germany or something.
Well, I mean,
so
yes, that would be more fun.
Yes.
I was trying to be handy for you guys, but
I'll travel. I will get out of US.
Yes, as we know, Valia likes to travel.
Yes. I think I'm just getting really like just that itch again. It's just like I need to go. I just need to go, okay?
I'm not even like a big traveler and I have that itch. Like if they tell you can't travel for long enough.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I am going to visit my friend in Michigan in October, and I'm very excited about that because I'm actually going during the time when there's leaves on the trees. And so she's just like, girl, I'm so excited. We get to go like drive over to like the middle of nowhere to see some leaves. And like she has some really beautiful picturesque areas like where she lives. So I'm like, I'm all there. Very excited. This is like, I'm looking forward to it, to just a million pictures from that trip too. Yes. Guys, prepare yourself. I'm going to post those for like a year.
Valia's Instagram is turning into a forest world.
I love it. It's just, yeah. I love like, I don't know. I just love getting back to photography in general because I haven't in a really long time, like taking pictures of anything but books, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love books. But sometimes I'm just like, let me just be artistic, So anyway, it's fun. I like it. Well, anybody else have anything to say before I divert us into our trope segment? No? We're good?
Should we talk about Vella?
Moving on. Oh, yeah. Joanna, tell us how Vella is going.
Should we tell everyone what it is first?
Yeah, go for it.
Remind
us.
Just talk about it.
They'll have to research on their own.
I'm finding that a lot of people don't know what it is. So it's Amazon's platform for serial stories. And all of the, like, for every story, you can read the first 3 episodes for free. Okay, so I have a story on there, and Kristen has a story on there, and they're actually very similar. They both have fae and fantasy and adventure and romance and all that. So yeah, you should go check it out.
I'm very jealous that I can't read them because
right, because it's only in the US.
But hopefully soon.
It's only available to those in the US. We don't know when it'll be available for international, and it's only available for people who have iPhones, but you can read it on a browser,
your browser,
so you can read it that way.
Yeah.
So
but also, Joanna, you're fixing the whole people not being able to read it.
Well,
right?
for my readers, I did a Patreon a few years ago and I discontinued it because it was just too much. But I just decided, because I had some readers reach out that were frustrated that they couldn't access it because they were either out of the country or they had Android phones and couldn't access it. And so I've started my Patreon up again. All my episodes have to be behind a paywall because that's the rules.
Those are the rules.
Yeah.
Or Amazon Kindle Vella. Holy cow, I cannot talk today. So it's on there if you want to read it. It's at patreon.com/Joanna Reader. So pretty easy.
Yeah, I'll link that. Make sure so you'll have it.
Oh yes.
It ties into your favorites,
it ties
right?
into my favorites.
Which I love. So I don't know, I guess I'll have to join your Patreon.
It takes place 2 generations before my Raven Court series, which 2 generations is like thousands of years. So it's like,
right,
I think like 1100 in like the human world. So
do they go to the human world, or is it just
no.
Well,
Kristen keeps telling me that I should have him go to the human world. I'm just like, that's just so much research. But
there it is.
she's like, that's the fun part, to do all the research for it. So
like, fun for you.
Well, okay. So what's been fun about this? And I realized this last week because I was trying. So I'm a plotter. Like, I outline my books. I have to, because with 3 little kids, to sit down and write, I kind of need to know where I'm going, because sometimes I get interrupted after like 15 minutes. So I can't just sit there and think about it.
I know.
So with this serial stories are written a little bit differently in that they're kind of more continuous stories, and they can be a lot longer. And I joined a group on Facebook with a bunch of what they call pantsers, like people that don't outline. And I've been like Valia. And I've been getting some like tips and stuff from them. So anyway, when I sat down, like, okay, I really need to figure out where this Vella story is going so that I'm prepared to get, because I have an episode that releases once a week. Every Thursday, there's a new one on there. So I need to have an idea of where it's going. And I have like my Raven Court series all outlined. And I know like all the scenes that I want and all of that. But when I sat down to this, it was like, I have a handful that I know where it's going right now. And I know what's going to be at the end of season 1 and the end of season 2 and the end of season 3. But I didn't want to plan more than that I kind of wanted to see where the story is going. And so it was kind of fun to see that, because honestly, I've always wanted to write a serial story. I always have. I focused on novels first. And that was the reason why I started my Patreon in the first place a couple of years ago, is because I wanted to do a serial story. I just didn't have the bandwidth for it at the time. But I figured that since I'm doing it on Vella anyway, might as well just have it available on there too. So anyway, it's been a lot of fun.
How many episodes are in a season?
I don't know. We will see. I just know like the big events. And the big thing that's going to happen at the very end is something that's already been mentioned in my Raven Court series. So like, I know where it's going, and I know like the big events that are going to like break it into the different seasons. I just don't know how long it's going to be.
Oh, I know where you're setting it then.
Hannah's like, I know.
I was going through my head. I was like, what happened in the Raven Court series history?
Anyway.
Well, now the listeners are going to have to read all of that because they're curious.
Hopefully it'll bring like, hopefully my like ebook readers, my book readers of the Raven Court series will want to go read that, and vice versa. So
yeah.
But I love it. I love this story so much.
That's the best. Yeah.
Those always end up being the best ones to read too. Like when the author just loves the story so much. Those are such good books.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you what it's called.
Yeah.
It's called
It's
called Courting Faith Thieves and Crowns. And you should also check out Kristen's. Hers is called Elven House of Ivy and Bone. And
and hers doesn't tie into her world, does it?
No, hers is different. Totally, but hers has elves and magic and lots of action, and it's very fast paced and it's very good.
Yeah. I'll link both of them so you guys can find them easily, and I'll have them on the website and stuff too. So make sure, and Instagram. I'll link it everywhere, okay? You guys will be
All
able
the
to find
places.
it.
So many things
I
you
know.
won't know what to do with them.
You have no excuse. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But I think the fun part of it is you can read the first 3 chapters and really, find for yourself if this is a story for you or not. So it's like, I think it's really cool to discover new authors this way too. Like, if you've never read anything by Kristen, for example, like you can check out this and see how you fit, or Joanna or whatever. So I think you guys should all check it out. I mean, it's literally free, so
Yeah.
you really have
There's
no
no
excuse at this
excuses.
point. Yeah, but yeah, okay. So speaking of books, let's just segue into the trope situation that we're
So
gonna.
smooth.
I know, right? I'm so good at this. Okay, so for those of you who are new to our show, each week we pick a book with a specific trope without telling you what it is, and then the following week, which is this week, we talk about it. And yeah, this trope, I feel like we had some questions about it last week when we were talking about it, but we're just gonna dive into it, and Kay's gonna start us off. And do you want to tell us what the trope is too?
Oh yeah, woohoo! So I get to say what the trope is. Okay, it is dangerous games and competitions. So yeah, basically, I don't think any of us are talking about the Hunger Games, but
No.
yeah, just basically think of the Hunger Games. That's what kind of started it all, right? So, my book that I actually read the whole series, was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I really liked Caraval. It was a fun one. And anyway, the concept is there's this week-long carnival-like event, and the person who wins gets like a very special magical prize. And it's all just like about whimsy and fun and magic, but the stakes get kind of raised throughout the book, where things from her life become part of the stakes too. So that is cool. And just the ending was really good. I really liked the ending. I liked all of it, but I mean, it's funny because a lot of times I actually like the middle of the book more than any other part. But this one, I just felt like she really did a great job with the ending of Caraval.
I agree, and I think it's tricky with a book like that that's like based around like secrets and mystery, and sometimes when it's revealed, it's a letdown.
Yeah.
And with that way, it's not at all. Like, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
Like, the reveal is amazing, and everything's awesome.
There's like reveals that you think are the reveals, but they're not the reveals. It's cool. She did a great job with it, so I really liked that. I also really liked the love interest. He's like, okay, this is funny because Hanna and I were talking about this because she earlier on a previous episode of the podcast was talking about how legendary she likes the second book in the series.
I love Dante.
Book. Yeah,
he's in my book boyfriend harem.
I did not feel that way. I liked book 1 better than book 2. And as we know by now, it's just because of the love interest. He's like, in book 2, Dante is more of a bad boy.
He definitely is.
It's fine, but that's just not my favorite kind of character, you know? I'm just not super into the bad boys. I'm like, ugh, you have too many problems for me. I just need to go find someone
He
who's
really
more.
is a lot of work.
You know?
In the end, you're like, was Dante worth it? I don't know, but I still love him.
Is the second one about the sister?
Which is fine.
I've read Caraval.
Yeah.
I just haven't read the whole series.
And then the third one is both of them. It alternates POVs.
Yeah. So anyway, I really liked the love interest of book 1, and I'm like, maybe this is a spoiler to say this. Maybe I won't say it. Anyway,
it's very unique.
Caraval.
Like the things like that's part of the, I guess, game. It's very unique, the things that are happening that.
Yes.
And the magic
and the
too
prose.
is unique.
The
And
prose
it's
is
also
very
like it's lush feeling, the whole thing. Like, it feels rich and it feels magical and it feels like something you would love to experience, even though you're like, I don't know, at the beginning they like tell them when they're going in, they're like, don't forget it's just a game, nothing's real. And then you go in and the whole book, she's just questioning whether that's true or not. You're like, is it just a game? Is it not real? And you don't know until the very end. And I loved that. Like, it's not, like, I don't like books that are super, I don't know, like, depressingly intense, like, we're gonna die the whole time necessarily. But I love just the uncertainty of it in this one.
Well, because of course they say it's all a game, but there are things that are real. That's the thing, you know? And so
which is
you don't know which things are, so it's cool. I was going to say something else, but I forgot. But anyway, it's very whimsical. It's also, I guess I wouldn't call it dark, but like the conflicts are pretty serious, I guess. So I say it's whimsical, but it still has that like serious feel to
like
it.
Fluffy. It's not fluffy whimsical.
It's not. Yeah, it's not fluffy whimsical.
It's more like dark carnival feel.
Yeah. Which I think is also really interesting for this trope because like typically we associate like dangerous games with like competition, right? Like that's like where our minds go of like fighting for your life or like a tournament or something like that. But this one is like different because like it's a whole thing that's like the whole book is just it's
like a puzzle that they're trying to solve. And they see who solves the puzzle first. So it's a competition in that like only one person can win. But it's not like all the other people like get slaughtered or something.
Right.
Like, they just didn't win.
Nobody dies if they lose the competition, I'll say. Yeah. I mean, that's not...
It's not off the table, though.
In other ways, I guess. But,
they're not meant to die.
It's not like punishment. If you lose, you don't die. That's not your punishment or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, there are some bigger stakes in it.
And she's got that dress in it that like changes.
Oh yes.
Based on her mood and like things, and it's
like a character of its own.
No, it's like almost too over the top for me, but I still kind of it suits the book really well. So I love it.
Yeah, and I felt like it suited the character too. I liked Scarlet having the dress. It felt like that fit her more than her sister. So, I mean, like
there's some pretty
obviously
sweet dresses in the second book too, though.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Tella gets her own dresses that are very magical and beautiful, but they're just, I don't know, different.
And she's got, you know, the dark hair with the white streak, which obviously means she's cool. I was saying this on the podcast because no one can see me. This is what my hair is. But I'm always like, whenever I'm like trying to make a list of like all the characters that have the same hair as me, it's really funny.
Is there two? Rogue has one too, right? From X-Men.
Rogue
from.
And
a white streak
from the Aurora Burning books.
I haven't read those.
And then in Sorcery of Thorns, that's like Nathaniel's demon mark, and the girl has it for a bit too. The like white streak.
Oh yeah, that other book that I haven't finished.
So these are cool books.
Rose's book too.
Yeah, Fay Away.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read that one.
It's reverse, but I think there's gonna be another character with it, like yours.
The other way around.
Yeah. Who has it like yours, the dark hair with the white streak?
Well, it's moving higher up in my TBR because I keep thinking I want to do
because of the hair.
I keep thinking I want to do fan art or like photo shoots or something with all these characters, but I haven't yet.
That would be fun.
That would be cool.
With all of them together. They're like, oh, you have
I know. Again, I'm not saying I'm magical, but I'm not saying I'm not.
How to get Hanna to read your books. Okay. Duly noted.
And if you've ever thought about writing a book that you specifically wanted Hanna to read.
Yeah.
Put a character on the cover.
We have an idea.
Hair, white streak. I was going to say also Damia, which is an Anne McCaffrey from way back in the day. She's got a white streak.
Oh.
And I always thought it was really cool when I was younger and reading it, and then my hair turned into that. So...
Did you make it happen with your magic?
I'm not saying I did. I'm not saying I did.
No comment.
That's like the thing where it's like, I'm not saying I'm Batman, but no one's ever seen Batman and me in the same room together.
Exactly. You can't really prove it one way or another. So.
Oh my goodness, that's funny. Okay, well, Hanna, you read a book this week that was different from the one that you picked and announced last week.
This was bound to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, it happens. I think I did that too, actually, at one point. But
yeah, you did.
Yeah, Hanna's gonna explain her reasoning for you guys, so don't get confused. It is a different book, but I will also link in case you want to read it. So go for it.
Yes. Okay, yeah, I picked a book that I had started reading and then I had stopped reading because it was making me anxious because it was during the pandemic and it's like rather plaguey. And
What was the
the
book you
book
were
was
going
To
to
Best the Boys by Mary Weber. So
Oh, right.
I have like felt bad about only reading part of this book for multiple reasons. One of which is that Mary Weber seems like the nicest person on earth on Instagram. I'm like, she's so nice. And I like the concept of it. And I just like, I want to like this book. But unfortunately, I once again this week was just having a lot of anxiety. And I have to protect my mental health. And
Yes.
a way I do that is by controlling what I read and what I watch. And I know things that trigger me. And I didn't even start reading it because I kept flipping through it and trying to find my spot and just like couldn't make myself read it. So I would still like totally recommend that book to people. I've heard it's great. Everyone seems to love it that's read it. It just was not the book for me this week.
And that happens.
It's been, it's been a bunch of things. Like we've had COVID cases up in our area, and I'm the part of BC where the wildfires are so bad that I can't see, like, I don't know, I can see about 10 meters from my window. That's about all. So these things make me not very happy. I got out of my funk yesterday by watching Mamma Mia 2. I was like, you can't be sad and listen to ABBA.
Sure.
It's one of my theories.
It's good philosophy.
It actually helped quite a bit.
I have a theory for ABBA, actually, but continue.
Okay, no, quick. What's your ABBA theory?
Oh,
I haven't started.
Just say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so back in Russia, when we had to do PE, which we had to do, we didn't have a choice. We just had to do it continuously every single day since you started school. But anyway, my teacher...
When you had to do what?
PE.
I mean, we
physical
had to do that
education.
here, too. But, yeah.
Well... no, when I came to America, you get to choose if you could be PE if you needed to do PE, or you would just do it like once a week or something. Like it wasn't like an every single day thing for like hours. But anyway. Yes. But anyway, when we had to run like our miles and we did it inside, so like when it was like really cold outside, we would do it inside, and when it was warmer outside, which is not by much, but still we would like run the laps outside. But anyway, when we did it inside, my teacher, whatever, he would always put on ABBA records. Like there was like a huge old record player up in the booth upstairs, and he would like take out the records and he played, and he would just play that for us the whole time we ran. We're like running 5 miles and we're just like running around this gym, cool. And he would just play ABBA the whole time. And I think it's because it honestly made people happier to run.
Yes. I'm sure it would.
Like it was the most random thing ever, but like I can sing all the songs now because I was trying not to die, but I'm like, Mamma Mia, here we go again. Anyway, sorry, continue.
I love that. I think that should be like, if anyone's trying to get back into running, there's all these playlists, just skip them, put on ABBA. Oh, I love it so much. Anyway, so I had to pick a comfort book, and I picked one I had read before and read it again. I'm about halfway through now, and that is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stefalter. Is that how we say her name?
Stiefvater.
And I love this book for so many reasons. I see Joanna is like grinning over in the other corner because Joanna loves this book.
For not picking this one because I love this book.
She's like, how did I not think of this? And I'm like, good thing because it's mine now.
She's one of my favorite authors, so why did I think of that?
Yeah. Well, and you did do one of her books previously.
I did the Raven Boys.
The Raven Boys, yeah. Which
you have to share, Joanna.
What do I have to share?
Maggie. She has to share Maggie.
Oh yeah, you can't have her all to yourself. Other people are allowed to love Maggie.
Oh.
Wow, never mind. I'm gonna stop making comments. Continue.
Back to Joanna. You need to share. It doesn't belong to just you.
She's a bestseller. Other people love her. Anyway,
but can I just so I saw this thing that made me feel a lot better about just books and writing in general, that there was someone that posted one of her books and they're like, not very good. So I'm like, okay, I love her and they don't. So if someone doesn't love my stuff, that doesn't mean anything.
It's not awesome.
And yep.
Continue.
Yeah.
It's a good point. Not everyone's.
I have it saved on my phone. I screenshotted it because I think it was the Raven Boys that they were talking about. There was like two people are like, I didn't really like it. Not really a great book or whatever. I'm like, what? That's like.
So next time you get a 1-star review,
I'm gonna
just
pull that up
and you're like,
hey, you know what? That was one of the first thing. I think Beth Revis was the one who taught me this. Is you go to a Goodreads and you find your absolute favorite book and you click on that 1-star review rating, and you're gonna see all these 1-star reviews, and it's just like your favorite book. You're like, see, it's not just you. People just have different opinions, and that's like a good coping mechanism.
Which is why I screenshotted it. I was like, hey, if this is one of my favorite books and this is what these people are saying, I need to remember this when I get those bad reviews of my own book.
And my husband, I had him read the Scorpio races, and he did read the whole thing, but he thought it was kind of depressing, and I was like, this book is a comfort book for me. I will admit it's not like perky, but anyway, I'll tell you about the book if you have not read it. It is one of the only books that's a standalone that I'm not mad at for being a standalone. It is like a perfect standalone. I think part of that is the world building. It's it takes place like on Earth, on this island that doesn't actually exist, one presumes. I actually didn't look it up. I don't think it exists. And
I don't know. I also didn't research it.
We're all like,
everybody just exchanging looks. They're like,
I don't think it does. I don't think it does.
And it's got like kind
of
like
Genovia.
Wait,
kind of like Welsh
Genovia's not real?
Genovia, totally real.
Oh yeah,
I'm just kidding.
You'll be the princess. I'm gonna find you yet.
Sorry, this episode. Okay.
I can't believe I'm the one trying to keep you guys on track today. This is
I
a
know.
sign of how bad it's gotten. Okay, so there's this island. It's got like Welsh-Irish vibe. We know it's not off the States because there's somebody who's referred to as the American. Okay, and they have cars, but you don't know, it could be like now or it could be in the 40s. You can't tell. There's just like a car and it's red. So it's kind of like an island out of time, and it's kind of gloomy, rainy, and they wear a lot of sweaters. Like, that's as much you got for the world building, really. Most people who live on the island stay on the island. And then every fall, these water horses come up out of the water, and they are like based on Celtic mythology, and they are carnivorous and would just like bite your arm and drag you back into the ocean. So they think, we're gonna race these. So a bunch of the guys will like, they'll try and like capture one of these horses, and there's like some charms and tricks and things to get them, and then they spend a month training them, and then they have the Scorpio races, and they race them on the beach. So the thing is that it seems like you almost believe this island is real and that these water horses are real. They're just only there and you haven't heard about it yet, because everything else is so grounded in reality that it's completely believable. You're like, of course there are carnivorous water horses. Like, why wouldn't there be? It's totally normal. So I love that. I love that because it just, she's so good at magical realism, as like having the real world and then just shifting it just like this tiny little bit so that I don't know. I love it. And then we have two characters, and one is Puck, and her name is Kate, but no one remembers her name. She's been called Puck since she was little. She's there with her younger brother and her older brother because her parents got killed by these water horses when they were out on a fishing boat. So she hates them. She thinks they're terrible. But she wants to enter the Scorpio races, partly for the money and partly just to piss off her older brother, as far as I can tell. Because he's saying he's going to leave and go to the mainland, which I have to say, like, I feel betrayed by. Like, that any, like, older brother would be like, see you guys, you can fend for yourself. They're only, like, 14 and 16 or something. So she's mad, she's going to enter the races, and she thinks she can do it. Like, she goes down and, like, looks at all the water horses and talks to them, and she's like, I can't do it. So she decides to enter her horse, Dove, who's just, like, a normal horse. And she's going to race her horse against all these carnivorous water horses on the beach. And then the other character is Sean. And Sean is, like, the horse boy who works for a big stables, and he has this water horse that he loves named Cor, and it's like his whole life, but it's not his horse, and he can't afford to buy it. And he saved up his whole life to try and get this horse, and the guy won't sell it to him because he wants him to stay and work for him still. And they come in the end to the agreement that if he wins, he gets his horse, I believe. I haven't got to that point yet, but that's what I remember. Joanna?
Yeah.
I think so. So they're both going to race. And it's like, that's the setup. And it's this story of like them learning like the racing stuff and spending time. Like he's won the last 4, I think. Like he's good. So like they fall in love and it's super sweet. And I love Sean because he like, when it's his point of view, there's all these times when he's going to say something. It like says what he would say, but he doesn't because he just doesn't feel like talking to people. So it's like he's like very introverted and very like stoic, but you get to see like exactly how he's feeling and what he would say to everyone. And then when Puck meets him, you like know what he's like inside. So it's like even though he's like super stoic, you can feel it. So I was trying to decide like why I love this book so much, apart from the fact that it's incredibly well written and lyrical and wonderful. And it was like bringing me back to, have you guys seen The Man from Snowy River? Did you watch that when you were younger?
Don't think I've ever
I feel like I've seen that when I was
Dear
really
listeners,
little.
has anyone seen The Man from Snowy River? I swear that was one of my first fictional crushes. Was the kid in, or well, the boy, man, whatever. He's the man from Snowy River. He's like a coming of age thing, right? And it's another like horse boy. And he like has to get these Mustangs, and it's in Australia. And I loved horses when I was younger. I mean, they're still awesome, obviously. But so it brings out like the horse-loving child in me, and then also the one that had a crush on Jim Craig in The Man from Snowy River. Please, someone in Instagram, tell me I'm not alone. This movie made a big impact in my life. I remember watching it and like feeling things. Anyway, I don't know how old I was, like 11 or something. I was like, whoa. I had one more thing. Oh, and I was also going to say, if you think carnivorous horses are fun, we also have these in Joanna's books. She took similar mythology. And I love yours because yours are like dangerous when they're wet. And then when they dry out, they're like pretty chill. And they can run on top of water.
Yeah. So
I love that in your books.
When Maggie wrote this book, I think they're called Kapelishka. Her carnivorous water horses, they're based off of fairy horses. And when I first started researching for my Fae series, I bought a fairy encyclopedia. And there's actually lots of different types of water horses. And mine are called Kabelushtes. So a little bit different. And I kind of took a twist on it and changed them a little bit. But they're based off of because
that's the fun of writing.
They're based off of real myths. So yeah, and it was because of that book that I needed to have water horses in mine.
Yeah, I love it.
Even though they're a little bit different, I think
Maggie's
are a little bit more dangerous, like quite a bit more dangerous than mine are.
They are, yeah. I mean, they're ripping people's arms off and killing dogs and stuff. But that's kind of it. The fact that Sean loves his horse so much, and that the like carnivorous water horse actually loves him back is beautiful in the book, because you're like, anyone could be loved by a normal horse, but I don't know, it's a horsey book.
If you like horses.
It's wonderful.
Cool.
With a twist. Oh, and National Velvet. Did you guys watch National Velvet when you were kids? These are my like horse. Oh, I'm alone here. I was the only horsey child, apparently.
There's a lot of them out there.
It's fine.
I wasn't
now I feel
either.
bad. I liked the idea of horses a lot, but not growing up in a small town, I don't think
Back to the small town thing.
I
didn't have a horse. I rode them at summer camp.
That is cool.
Well, that's cool.
So
that's
I loved that, but
I had a horse that I rode like once because it lived in Ukraine and I lived in Russia.
They're like, but it's your horse.
Yeah, that's basically every time I go visit for the summer, they're like, look, it's your horse. I'm like, oh, it's still here.
I would have jumped on that idea if I was a kid. Like, yeah, it's my horse. It's awesome.
Oh, no, I claimed the horse.
Yeah.
I did. But like, I was a kid. Like, I couldn't do anything or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I was a city girl. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll pet it. Like, what am I doing with this? Anyway, but I love it. So Joanna, let's talk about your book.
Okay.
Which you had to read because you didn't think of the Scorpio races.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I really liked this book, so I'm excited to talk about it anyway. So I read The Princess Trials by Cordelia Castel, and it's a dystopian that takes place like in the far future. I think it takes place here, like on Earth, but it's in the far future. Like there's mention of places in the United States, but it nuclear war has like devastated the land. It's all deserty and there's not much water, but there's this this kingdom that kind of controls everything. So the main character, her name is Zia, and she's a harvester, and like that's her job, like her whole family, that's their job, is to harvest food, basically to be sent in to the inner parts where like the rich people are. They call so it's like a caste system where there's different echelons. Anyway, so she is a part of this like underground revolutionary group, and they want her to enter what's called the Princess Trials. And what the Princess Trials is it's kind of like the Bachelorette. It's kind of like the selection where they have 30 girls from all over trying to compete to win the hand of the prince, which is kind of the plot of like the selection. But the difference is that it's not just like wearing pretty dresses and eating fancy food and going to balls. It's doing these trials that are kind of like the Hunger Games, where they're like super deadly. So they have to like traverse super high stakes, and like half the time the prince isn't even involved in this, but her job is to go like undercover to find routes into the palace so that the like revolutionaries can kind of take over. And there's a sort of love triangle because she's had a crush on this guy forever, and he's like the leader's son, and he's like trying to pump her up, like, you can do this, and afterwards we can be together, and blah blah blah. But then she meets the prince, and he's a sweetheart, and he kind of likes her. And so anyway, I've read the first 2 books in the series, and I love it, so I will continue reading it. But as I've been reading it, I've noticed, and I didn't say this before, but my Vella story, The Courting Fae, Thieves and Crowns, it's a mix between The Selection and Throne of Glass, and it also has elements from The Princess Trials, so that's another comp for it. But anyway, it's really good. It's a good
story. That just sounds like a Joanna book, like
it does.
Yeah.
Love triangle, The Bachelor.
Yes.
Plus all the
maybe that's why I love this story so much.
Yes. That's really cool. I think we've like mentioned somebody was reading it maybe before, or we like recommended it. Oh, okay, it was you. Yeah, so I like have it on my list to read, but I'm just like not, me and my TBR list are forever fighting.
I know.
So but that sounds fun.
Yeah. So the comps for it says it's perfect for fans of the Hunger Games and The Selection. So it's kind of like a mix between the two. So
yeah, I like the high stakes competition thing. So like I'm not a big fan of The Bachelorette. Like I will,
because no one dies.
Basically, I don't know. I'm kidding. No, but I think I really like the fact that they have to do other stuff. Like instead of just like smile in pretty dresses and try to have a conversation, but like
get to know each other,
like actually like let's battle it out or whatever.
Can you know if someone really loves you if they're not willing to battle for you?
Exactly.
So unrealistic to just have conversations and fall in love.
Yes.
So what we need is like
is it true love if there's not fighting involved?
You need like that.
I don't mean fighting with each other. I mean weapons with an enemy.
And then, like American Gladiator, and like combine them into one show.
That is what I expect of my future, especially for me. Okay. Oh my goodness, that's really funny. Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about my book now because it kind of like falls into the same category of like a televised competition show. We have a theme here. No, because I think it's like really interesting because a lot of dystopian I know has the competition aspect, right? Because you're trying to better your position in life, right? Like I mean, obviously the Princess Trials kind of does the same thing as the Hunger Games. Like you get that like status and you get all that stuff.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but it is televised, so everyone's watching.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I read the Hunger Games. I read the Fairy Games by Michelle Madow, and it kind of has like the same aspect, except it's Greek mythology that's involved in it. And so Selena Pierce lives on an island of Avalon, and it's like this magical place where like everybody has magic except for her. And she is the daughter of the king and queen of Avalon. So there's like a lot of pressure on her not having magic right off the bat, but she like feels like she's never fit in or anything like that. And then she's like not allowed to leave the island. Like it's like a huge statement from the beginning that like, you cannot leave the island. And that's all she wants because that's all she's ever known. And it's obviously hard for her because she's doesn't have magic and she lives in a magical island. But anyway.
That's her poor provincial life.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Yeah.
Live on a magical island. Quick, complete.
Yeah, exactly. Basically.
I would. That's fair though. Why she wouldn't want to?
Yeah.
It's just. I mean, I can understand why it's weird. Yes. But anyway, so she meets this mysterious Julian, and everything kind of changes because he actually drags her through a portal that ends up in Fae. So she like ends up in Fae. And yeah, there's like a mystery of why she doesn't have magic actually. And then of course, right? Why not? And then she has to compete in the annual Fairy Games, which is a televised reality show competition where half-bloods fight to the death. And she has to like make friends and figure out what's going on with her and see if like she can trust Julian, who like technically has betrayed her already by dragging her into this world.
Right.
But now like he's part of the competition too, and so like you have to you have to make allies in order to continue on and stuff. And you get like blessed by a Greek god when the beginning of the show, and like they give you the power, whatever god gives you the power that you can use during the show. And so she gets one. I don't know if I should say what it is. It might be spoiler. I'm trying to think if it was like a big...
I always hate that when you're like about to say something and then it's like, wait.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
Never mind. You'll just have to read it.
Yeah, so anyway, it's like, okay, so this is like super fast paced, right? Michelle is like known for her very fast paced, very like fast books, and it's no different. I like flew through this, and it does deal with the Greek mythology, which I love Greek mythology, so it's like really fun to just like read more of it in a different setting, obviously, and stuff. But like if you like Hunger Games or like even Percy Jackson, like this was like a good, very fast-paced book. And there's 5 books. It's a complete series, so like you can really binge it really fast.
And it's finished.
Yeah,
right?
It's finished. Yeah. And I do like the concept of like games to not only to succeed in your world, like in the sense of like Hunger Games where you like get, a better position or whatever, but just like actually competing for like the gauntlet or whatever. You know what I mean? Like actually like a physical thing that they have to win. I think that's like a really fun aspect. Like I want to write like a game into my books so they can like
do it.
There's nobody dies like as a punishment, but they can in the thing, and it's just like I don't know, I think it's just really fun. Like I love I love stuff like that where it's like you have to outwit your opponent.
Well, even like the 4th Harry Potter was always my favorite. the
is that the goblet?
Yeah, the Goblet of Fire.
That's my favorite.
Right?
My favorite.
Yeah, it's like
that one's not my favorite.
Well, fine.
I did like the fourth one a lot, I will say.
Because I love the competition in that one. And you can't, and that's the same, like, even though it's for a bit of a younger audience, you can die, and someone does die.
Well, and that's where everything turns.
It's,
that's when Harry Potter's not for kids anymore.
Yeah, that's, like, the first...
The stakes go up.
Yeah, exactly, for the whole series.
Yeah, but I do think it's just the whole concept of games is really fun. I remember when we did, like, the dystopian genre, I read The Testing, and that trilogy was really fun for me because it had the mental state, like the mental competitions, as well as just like physical competitions. So I really like when there's like just more than one, you know, like there's not just like physically, like you have to like climb a wall, like if you're doing like a Spartan race or something, or I don't know, you know, but like when you have something else, so it like adds to it, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. Besides
like puzzles and things.
Challenges, there are other ones. That's cool. I like that.
Kind of had that in Divergent too.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So those are like my favorite types of like games and stuff, which I think like Caraval is fun because of that. Like it's not just like, it's not a physical game that they like. I mean, yeah, there's like some stuff, but it's not like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Some of it's riddles and some of it's mind games and
finding clues and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's what I read. That's what we got. Good books, but we have some recommendations as well if you want more. So Kay, you have a book for us?
I'm recommending Trial of Thorns by Stacy Trombley. This one also is a lot like the Hunger Games, but it has fae, which I love. Of course, we all love the fae. This book was really cool. It has really high stakes. The main character it's like her only chance to not be banished anymore if she wins, but the other guy who wants to win, he has a very compelling reason for wanting to win also, but only one person gets to win, so it's pretty intense.
And they hate each other.
As go.
And they have to work together in part of it. You're like, yes.
Oh, true. Yes. It's so good. So good. So it's really fun. It's kind of, just read it, all right? Then you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a great one.
There you go. Hannah, what about you? You had 2 books, right?
I did. You didn't think of one, so I thought of 2.
It's true, because I'm terrible at doing homework, but continue.
I mean, it's fine. I have mentioned before that I had been reading Shadowfall by Audrey Gray, but I didn't officially recommend it. So this is also one I couldn't read right now. If you're an anxious person, wait till you're in a good mood, because it's pretty brutal, but it's super fun if you love the, you know, Hunger Games dystopian fight to the death, as we've discussed. This is like in a world where, to start with, everything's been a mess for a while. There's a class system and revolutions and crap. And then also an asteroid is hurtling towards the Earth and has been for a while. So they've been seeing it coming and they're like, we're all doomed. So they've made this space station that the Emperor and his like chosen happy people get to live on the space station and not, you know, die when the asteroid hits the Earth, which I only take up part of it, but then there's dust clouds. It's just, you know, it's a mess. So they're having these trials, and if you win the trials, which are televised, blah, 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 fight to the death, puzzles, things, you get to go be on the space station and not be dead.
You know, die.
I mean, some of them might live. They got put in, like, you know, they, like, stuck them in these little things. They're supposed to protect them, and anyway, but better to be on the space station. And then this...
have you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I have watched the movie. It was a while ago.
Oh, the movie.
There's a part where, like, the Earth is gonna, like, be destroyed, and they make these 3 spaceships to go send off to another place. And they, like, put all of the... like the doctors and the scientists and like the really smart people,
the best of humanity
in the first ship, and then they put all of the like the lawyers and I can't remember, like all of like the middle people,
the bureaucrats
and all of them, all the government people in the second ship. And then third shift, they put all of the like service workers, like the food handlers and the custodians and all that. And they send off the second ship first to go like be the trailblazers, and they're like, just kidding. We don't need those people anyway. And anyway, it's just funny.
They blow them up?
No, that's how they get rid, like send them off into space, and that's how they get rid of all of these people that
right,
they,
and the rest
they
of them
don't
just
need.
stay.
Yeah, all of the government people and the bureaucrats and all of them. And
it's a funny book, guys. It's supposed to be funny.
It's a hilarious book.
It is satire.
Anyway, that just made me think of that.
Anyway, this book is much less funny. The girl's name is Maya, and she gets her and this guy that she can't trust, blah blah blah, get put like planted by the rebels into this trial. So she's like, also, you know, like it's a trial, you could get a spot in the space station, but they're really trying to bring down the Emperor. So there's plots within plots. Ooh. I always think like Hunger Games is bad enough. Now imagine asteroid hurtling towards Earth in, it says in the thing, in exactly 552 hours, an asteroid will end life as we know it. You're like, so that's cool. It's very fast-paced. If you like, just want a fast-paced, bingey, slightly violent read, then you would like it. More than slightly violent. Fairly violent.
Perfect. Okay, and the other book?
The other book is, I'm getting there. I was bringing it up in Goodreads. So the other one, it's been a while since I read it, but I did really enjoy it. And it's The 100th Queen by Emily R. King. So that was my problem. I was reading both lines at once. And this takes place in a fantasy world that's kind of based on ancient India, ancient Sumeria sort of thing. And the Raja has 99 queens, and he is holding trials for his 100th queen. And you have to battle all the other 99 queens, I believe, and all the courtesans to, like, find your placing in it. So that was fun. And it goes on, like, there's 4 books in the series, and there is, like, magic and revolutions and forbidden love.
We always love a good revolution.
All these things. So it's not like she's just like, hooray, I'm so excited. I want to be part of a harem. I'm going to battle my way through it. She doesn't have a choice, and she's not down with it. And, of course, falls in love with someone else, which is forbidden. And
love it.
Yeah, it's a good time.
All right, Joanna, you had a book.
Yes, I'm going to recommend Kay's book.
Whoop, whoop.
Yay!
The Elements of the Crown. This is a epic fantasy, young adult fantasy series that is complete. And she released it as novellas first, but now it's bundled into 3 books. Correct? Yes. So, main character, she attends an elite academy, and the world building is amazing in this because Kay is really good at world building.
True.
But the main character, she had they deal with elemental magic like fire and water and things like that, and she has to go through these trials to try to become the most powerful student in this academy to make her life better. And there's some really fun trials in it, like games in it. There's like I remember a board game that she has to do, and there's a maze, and I love
a good maze.
Yes. One of my favorite parts was when the main character and the love interest made this, like, it was like ice and fire tree that like melded together. So cool. Anyway.
Yes. It's the best. I'm not biased.
When I think of those books, that's what I think of, is that scene.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think of too.
That's because Hanna did an illustration for that scene, so
very bingey,
which is amazing.
Very bingey, and the series is complete, so you can read it all.
It's great. I love that the queens have just like so much to choose from if you guys want to read any of the books that we've written. But yeah, so if you ever want to pick up any of the books we're discussing, I do have a bookshop page set up, and the list for this episode will be under this episode's title and number. So make sure to check that out. It'll be linked in the description and on our website and in Instagram, because I link things everywhere. We have discussed this, and and yeah, and now kind of an announcement. Oh my gosh, kind of an announcement time. Let me see if I can talk, but we're just springing this on you guys. But this is officially the end of season 1. Yay! Yeah, I'm really excited. We're doing things a little bit differently starting next week. So yeah, don't worry, we're not going anywhere. There's no.
It's not one of those things where they say it's the end of season 1 and then 2 years later you're like, are you going to release another episode? Do not be concerned. We're still
exactly. Here. We will be back next week as usual, and you've already had a taste of like the fun we're having on the podcast in our bonus episodes. So we'll just be doing a little bit more of kind of unscripted and crazy, and having discussions and doing special interviews. And oh my gosh, you guys, it's going to be fun. And I'm very excited. And yeah, so you'll have to be here next week to hear what's going on, because we are not going anywhere and we're doing more stuff. So yeah, yay. I'm excited. So yeah, before we go, let's talk about what everybody's reading this week. So Kay, what's on your TBR?
So I started this one a little while ago, but I just had to read other things. But I'm going to finish it this week. House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig.
Nice. Hanna?
Well, I need to finish the Scorpio races because now I started my reread and remembered that it's my favorite. And I am also reading Reign of Magic by K.M. Shea, which is fun because the last book in the series is coming out in like 4 days, so we'll see.
Okay. Joanna, what about you?
I am been reading, and I'm still reading, and I'm not just reading, I'm like digesting this book because it's so much. I'm reading The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern.
Okay.
Rachel Huffmeyer and I did a buddy read back in July, and I recommend that book, Reading with a Buddy, because there's a lot to digest. Like I said, I'm still digesting that
book. Okay, good to know. And I will be reading, I just got this in the mail actually, The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So I'm very excited. Speaking of games,
I'm interested
and
in
puzzles,
that one. So you tell me how it is.
I'm very excited about it. But yeah, thank you for listening to the Reading Queens. Before you go, please take a moment to leave us a review and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. And then stay tuned for next week. Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.